Hello everyone. So it has been a short period since I last produced and shared any films with you. I have been marvellously busy for the last couple of weeks, a little overworked, but I always think it's fantastic to be productive. I was indeed trying to delay filming as well because I have had a cold sore, as you'll be able to see on the upper left part of my lip, just at the corner. I'd had a terrible cold sore. Fortunately, it has now gone away and it has healed. It's just taking its time. I certainly am really a fan of wearing makeup if I have a scar or a cut or something that needs healing. I like to just leave it and let it heal by itself. I think that's the best way. Because I haven't really had a moment to stop and just take care of myself and just beautify myself, I thought today I would create a look that was very refining and quite simple, a little bit English rose inspired, but I want to create a look today that's just a subtle, soft polish. Seen as it is autumn here in northwestern Europe, I'm also going to be adding some autumnal colours, maybe a slight stain on the lips with a berry tone. I also want to make a look that will make me feel good, like a polished, refined version of myself. I think it is useful to take the viewpoint that beauty isn't necessarily just about the appearance of things, it is also about how it makes you feel. If something makes you feel better, then I think that is a beautiful thing. So I love looks that make me feel and look like an upgraded version of myself, and that's definitely the kind of look that I'm going to be creating today. So I'm first of all going to go in and prime and prep my skin, as lately it has been as dry as a fossilized baklava. Because I shall not be going outside today, I shall not be applying SPF. If I were to apply SPF, I typically go in with some Estee Lauder Day Wear SPF 50. I find this one to be great, and I would apply it to the face and onto the décolletage and a little bit on the ears. And if the back of my neck is on show, I'd put a little bit there. Because I'm not going to be applying SPF, I'm going to apply moisturizer. I shall be going in with a classic favourite of mine, Embryolisse La Creme Concentrate. And I'm just massaging that into the skin. And I apply quite a bit of pressure when I apply moisturizer. Never be afraid to go back in and moisturize your skin in areas that you feel need a little bit more replenishment. Now for the under eye area and the top of the cheekbone, I'm going to be going in with some of Bobbi Brown's Extra Eye Repair Cream. I just take a little bit of it on the spatula and then disperse it across the skin to the areas I want to apply it. And then I simply dab it on. And if you are to push it at all, I always push inwards, never pulling outwards, always pushing inwards. Now for lips, I'm going to put something on the lips just now, just to make sure that they are moisturised and are ready for lipstick at the end of this film. I'm going to go in and condition the lips at this point, and to do so I'm going to be taking some of Elizabeth Arden 8-Hour Cream, which I absolutely love. I think this is a fantastic product, an old-fashioned, good quality. It does many things and it does exactly what it's meant to do. And I apply it with a Q-tip and I just push and roll it into the lips first of all, which shall give our lips a slight exfoliation. And just for a moment, I'm letting all of those products just saturate into the skin. I want my skin to appear as natural and as flawless as possible today. So I'm going to be going in with foundation, and today I'm going to be using Kat Von D's Lock-It Foundation in the shade Light 41 Neutral. I'm just going in and applying a light layer of that with a Tina Earnshaw No. 6 brush. Now, I don't really want to create a mask today, I just want to even out the skin tone. But I am applying a greater amount of it in areas that require a little bit more coverage, like my jaw. Now I'm not really applying this foundation in any sort of style, I'm applying it quite crudely across the skin, just slapping it on, making sure it's on the skin and covering everything with a slight light layer. And then in areas that require a little bit more coverage, I'm just building up. My nose recently has been quite irritated, so I'm going to apply a little bit more around the nose area. And just to make sure everything is consistent, I'm taking a little bit of it down the neck. Now to blur out and blend the foundation and align it correctly, I'm going to be taking a Zova 110 Face Shape brush. I'm just stippling first of all, buffing and stippling. You can actually apply a little bit of the foundation to the brush, just so that you're not taking off so much of the product. Because when you buff quite harshly over foundation on skin, it can actually remove some of the product. That's not really what I want to do, I just want to even out what I've applied. This brush is fantastic because you can go into the specific areas of the face, like the underneath of the eyes, around the crevices of the nose, and it is quite effective at accessing these areas. Now my eyelids are a little bit red, so I'm just going to buff a little bit of that foundation across them, just to reduce the redness. So that is the foundation now all applied and its texture corrected. Now I'm going to move on to eyebrows, and I'm going to apply a little bit of powder to the brow region just to matte down the foundation so that I can go in with a cream product for eyebrows. And to powder that area, I'm going to be taking some of the Laura Mercier Invisible Pressed Setting Powder in the shade Universal. And I'm just going to press that over the brow region, just a very light amount of it. For eyebrows, I'm going to be going in with a classic favourite of mine, which is the Kryolan Dermacolor Cream Concealer in the shade D40. And I'm just going to stencil out a shape first of all with this, using a Space NK liner brush. I have completed stenciling in a shape for the brows, and I definitely think they are a little bit darker than I would like them to be. So I'm now going to go in with some of MAC Cosmetics powder eyeshadow in the shade Omega. No surprises there. And I am taking it on a clean Space NK liner brush. It's the same brush that I used to draw the stencil with the D40 colour. And what I'm doing is just drawing almost little hairs, not being particularly neat, almost smudging on the colour. And what this does, it just warms that D40 colour, which is quite grey. It's a very army grey colour. The D40 is slightly reflective because it is an emollient product, yet the Omega, because it is a powder eyeshadow, it is matte. And I am not coating the entirety of the D40 colour filter that I have applied with the Omega. I'm only drawing in certain areas. Because the D40 is emollient, it is slightly reflective, and the powder eyeshadow Omega is matte. So where the Omega is applied, it isn't reflective. So you have a combination of matte and slight sheen to the eyebrow. This adds dimension to the eyebrows, creating the illusion of having natural hair. For concealer, I'm going to be using some of MAC Cosmetics Full Coverage Foundation in the shade W10. This is quite a pinky foundation, so it's great for just colour correcting underneath the eyes to remove my very blue dark circles. And if you apply a colour corrector quite intelligently, so just by applying it just to the areas that you need it, you don't have to apply a lot of concealer to that area. So instead of applying a full band of concealer around underneath the eyes to conceal them, I'm just applying it to the areas that are quite blue. Always a good idea to apply a little bit of concealer to this area as well, as most people, irrespective of ethnicity or skin tone, do get a little bit of discoloration in there. It also just brightens up that area as well when you apply a little bit of concealer there. As you can see here, I do have this sort of red wing there. So what I'm going to do is just cut that away. And if you were to compare either side, even though it isn't blended, you can see that there's a dramatic difference on one side to the other. One is a lot more brighter, the other one is a little bit fallen. Also going to apply a little bit of concealer to this area, just to bring a little bit of light in there. And a little bit of it on the chin. Now I'm going to take a MAC 234 brush. This is a split fibre brush. One side is synthetic man-made fibres, the other side is natural fibres. But the reason that I like this split fibre 234 brush, the way that it works is almost like a retoucher. The synthetic side is able to move the product, but because there is the presence of some natural fibres, it just skims off any of the excess, so you're able to almost retouch the product perfectly. And of course, it allows you to flip from side to side depending on what you are doing. So if you are blending, for example, cream concealer into an eyeshadow look, or you're blending two different colours together, you have the benefit of two different styles of fibre to work with two different products, and it can create a really seamless blend. And we all know that the great art of seamlessness is above all important. And as you can see, I'm just dispersing the product and then using the natural side just to almost take off a little bit of the excess there. Because I have slight fine lines underneath my eyes, sometimes concealer can collect there. Of course, if you set it with powder, this doesn't happen, but I don't really want to go in with powder just yet. So I'm going to remove some of the concealer that's just there, as I only wanted to apply concealer just to brighten those areas. As much as I love all the fabulous looks, the editorial looks, the fashion looks, all the crazy looks with lots of eyeshadow and makeup and glitter and everything, I do really just love a polished, simple, clean look. I don't think there's anything fresher. And I have a slight spot just there, so I'm going to go in and conceal a little bit of that with some product. Now I've changed my mind. I'm just going to add a tiny little bit of powder just to the finer line areas, just to set the concealer so that it doesn't collect in the finer lines. I'm going to go back in with Laura Mercier powder coat that I used to set the eyebrow region just a moment ago. And what I'm doing first is taking the brush dry. This is a Kit Stars S31 tapered blender brush. What I'm doing is just buffing the concealer just so that it disperses over the area again. And very quickly getting some of my powder and pressing it into that region. Not too much of the powder, and this powder is very, very fine. Do not be fooled by the fine powders. Because they are very fine, you might think, oh, I can put on quite a lot of this. They will make you look very, very dry. So use them very sparingly, just to matte everything down. I actually much prefer fat powders for setting the under eye area. I'm going to step away from the eyes now and move on to contour, blusher and highlighter. Now I'm going to be using all cream products to contour, to blush and to highlight. The highlighter is more of a liquid, but for blusher and contour I'm going to use creams. To contour I'm going to be taking some of Illamasqua's cream pigment in the shade Hollow, which is quite a warm toned biscuity colour. I'm not sure if they actually do this colour anymore, but it is a fantastic colour for cream contouring. It's also quite good on the lips and maybe as an eyebrow base. I do tend to find it a bit too warm for me, certainly when I contour. I may apply just a tiny bit of the Hollow today. I'm not going to apply lots of product. I want to keep the look quite minimal, but I'm going to be applying it on an e.l.f. Flawless Concealer brush. This is a fantastic brush for just chiseling out the cheekbone. Now one way that I like to apply contour, especially cream contour, is actually to just pull the skin beside the ear, just so that you can see where to place the contour. Because if you do that, you can see the bone is quite clear. And what I like to do first of all is just apply a little bit of that. As you can see, that's quite a warm tone, especially on my skin. But I'm just going to buff it very softly, very, very gently. And I'm applying it downward. I'm not applying it down onto my jaw. I'm almost applying it underneath the cheekbone and then brushing it upwards. If you do not wish to disturb the formation of the foundation for which that you've applied, stipple it on and follow your bone. And as you can see, even though it's not blended, it has given us more structure. Now I'm going to go in with our Zova 110 from before and just stipple over it, just to diffuse it and make sure that everything is as seamless as possible. I'm just stippling it. Moving on to blusher, I want to go for something that's quite rosy and will make the skin look quite youthful and young. Today I'm going to be going in with Illamasqua's cream blusher in the shade Seduce. I'm just going to take a little bit of it on a dual fibre brush. This one is a crown brush. I am hesitant to articulate the exact title of this brush in fear I may deviate from the highest degree of accuracy because the title has sort of scraped away, but I shall definitely leave the applicable name of this brush within the description of this film. And I'm buffing most of that off on the back of my hand, and then I'm just stippling that onto the cheek, buffing it lightly onto the cheek. And then going back in with our Zova 110 just to soften and blur any edges, dabbing it ever so slightly to ensure seamlessness. Cream blusher does tend to be one of these highly concentrated products, so you don't need that much of it. Lipstick can also serve as a fantastic blusher. You just tap it on very gently. Now I'm going to go in with a Kit Stars S4 base polisher brush. I'm just dabbing that over what I've applied, just to soften any of those edges. It really is just a process of soft blending. For highlighter, I'm going to be using a liquid highlighter. This is the Jeffree Star Cosmetics Liquid Frost in the shade Frozen Peach. And I've just applied a little bit of that to the back of my hand and I'm just tapping it onto the skin. I very recently reviewed this product. I absolutely love what it does to the skin. It just makes the skin look really, really healthy. With the eyes, I want to cancel out any of the redness and just have it a nude tone across the eyes and maybe do a tiny little bit of sculpt. I'm going to first of all begin by applying some of Bobbi Brown's cream shadow in the shade Bone, which is this absolutely beautiful cream colour. And I'm applying it with a Real Techniques domed shadow brush. This is a fantastic cream shade. It's really difficult to find gel products or cream eyeshadows for the eyes that are a pale ivory colour. So this is a fantastic one. And I'm only applying a light layer of that, just evening out any of the redness across the eyelid and in the socket. With the cream eyeshadow now applied, I'm now going to go in with MAC Cosmetics powder eyeshadow in the shade Brûlée on an Inglot 6SS brush, and I'm just taking that through the socket. It's a very similar colour to my natural skin tone, just slightly darker. And what this does very subtly gives us a little bit of definition. I'm just going to take it up onto the brow slightly as well. And the Brulee is a fantastic colour. It's quite an easy colour to blend. Because it is a colour so close to my own natural skin tone, being pernickety about its placement would be folly. It adds the most subtle definition. And with the same Brulee colour, I'm now going to go in with an Inglot 80 HPS brush and then apply it to the underneath of the eye. And I'm really smudging it in. I can actually get away with applying quite a lot of it because it provides us with definition, yet it remains diminutive enough not to be noticed, incredibly so, by the perceiver. But you and I can keep a secret, we both know it's there. And one thing that I like to do is just take the colour round, as you can see, and connect it with the socket. Just finishes everything off. Makes everything look quite neat, like the roof on a house. Now for additional definition, I'm going to be going in with MAC Cosmetics powder eyeshadow in the shade Omega, and I shall be applying it on a Kit-Stars S33 micro pencil brush. And what I'm doing with this first of all is just applying it to the outer corner of the outer eye on the underneath, just smudging it in the lashes, no further in than that, just taking it to there. And I shall reciprocate on the other eye. And always keep a clean blending brush nearby. This is a Kit-Stars S31 tapered blender. Just going back in and smoothing everything, just to ensure seamlessness. And then what I'm going to do is just close the eye and smoke along the upper lash line. This will provide us with greater definition. And as you can see, by using those two colours, it just gives us definition, but it's very, very faint. Moving on to eyelashes, I'm going to be taking my QBS eyelash curlers and giving the eyelashes a very thorough curl. For mascara, I'm going to be going in with a trusted favourite of mine, the Balm's What's Your Type in the shade Black. And I'm actually going to be applying this with a MAC 205 brush, as I want the eyelashes to be defined, but not too clumpy. And then on the lower lashes, I'm just touching the roots, nothing more, keeping it very subtle. Then going in with the wand. And I don't want to apply it too much to all the lashes. I actually want to concentrate the majority of the product on the outer lashes, so it creates the illusion of a much more elongated eye. And one of the fabulous things about going in with a lash brush is that it determines how much mascara that you will actually need. So you can go in and apply a little bit, and then you'll think, no, I'll need to apply a little bit more, as I just did a second ago. However, when you go in with the wand straight away and almost lash up, it can sometimes apply too much mascara immediately. I definitely like to apply mascara in small, slight layers so that you don't overdo or underdo. Moving on to lips, I want to use a berry tone. I'm going to apply a very sheer berry colour. On the back of my hand, I've mixed a tiny bit of MAC Cosmetics lipsticks in the shade Rebel and Cyber. And with a MAC 263, I'm just going to apply a little bit of that to the lips. Now I want it to be really, really sheer, just so that it creates the effect as if though I've been eating berries. Now with the colour on, it's given me an estimation of whether or not I need to line the lips. I don't actually want to go in and line the lips with a hard, dark lip liner. I'm going to take some of Charlotte Tilbury's Lip Cheat in the shade Pillow Talk, just to line the lips and correct any of the asymmetry within the lips. And then I will fill over the top of it with a little bit of this colour. By using a nude tone with dark lipstick, it's a lot less forgiving if you were to make any mistakes, and it doesn't look as harsh on the mouth. I want to keep the look quite soft looking today. So that's the lip liner now applied. I'm now going to go in and conceal the little bit of what's left of the cold sore with some of MAC Cosmetics Studio Fix powder foundation in the shade NW10. And I'm going to apply it on a Kit-Stars S41 short angle brush. And what I'm doing with it is just taking it on its side, just concealing it, just like that. I'm sure many of you are thinking, why not just use a concealer to do that? The thing is, when you are dealing with an area like the mouth, what we want to achieve is maximum cover, minimum product, especially with things like a cold sore, where there's a large 3D entity on the face. Now I shall be going back in with our lip brush from before, our MAC 231, with the remainder of the Cyber and Rebel mix. And I'm just going to add to that a little bit of MAC Cosmetics Russian Red, as it was looking a little bit too whiny. I want it to look more ready. Now, if I had gone in and used a dark lip liner, the lip line would have appeared very artificial, but because I have used a nude lip liner and then gone in with a darker colour, the lip line appears a lot softer because your eye gravitates to the darkest areas. And I would definitely say never be afraid to mix your lipsticks to suit the look that you are trying to create, or to suit yourself. Darling, bespoke is the best. And I'm just going to put on quite a lot of that red colour, but not going too close to the lip line that we drew. and then dabbing in the center with my finger with the lipstick. So that creates a really juicy looking red lip. Now, we are going to reduce it slightly. You can use tissue paper or whatever you like. This is actually some lavatory roll. I always keep some of this in my kit as it's very useful. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to kiss into it, bite into it. And then turn it around and do the same thing, but this time a little bit different. I'm going to bite into it like that, but then fold the edges of it up and press. And that just takes up the bulk of the product. They're a little stronger than I would have preferred, but I know that they will weather down. I can always reapply a little bit of the roll just to reduce the colour further. The aim is to make the lips look as healthy and as fresh as possible. And then I'm just going to take a little bit of Elizabeth Arden Eau Cream and just dab it on the lips, just so they don't look or feel as dry. Now I'm going to go in with my Wayne Goss No. 2 brush with a little bit of MAC Cosmetics Studio Fix Powder Foundation in the shade NW10. I'm just going to apply it to areas where I want to reduce any shine. So that more or less completes the look. It is a look that is universally flattering, irrespective of ethnicity or skin colour or eye colour. It is simply a refinement of the features, a slight rosiness to the cheeks, and a berry stain to the lips. I definitely think that everyone can pull off a slight hint of red in the cheeks and the lips. And I paired this look with a set of black pearls gifted to me by my dear sister. I have had a lot of fun creating this look for you here today. I hope that you have found the tips, the techniques, and the recommendations for it that I have made within today's film to be either interesting, useful, helpful, or beneficial. Once again, thank you so much for watching. And of course, take care. Bye!